on to async KPIs. Okay. So it's a safe harbor statement. So here both the speaker and the host are here opinion individual capacity only. Purpose is Vaishnavi is going to demonstrate it will work for the business requirements. Okay, meant for any promotion. So I'll be the moderator for the meetup. Okay, so I'm working as an integration architect in Info. I'm a MuleSoft ambassador and a MuleSoft meetup leader. I'm certified MuleSoft integration platform architect, TIPCO, IBM Sterling integrator, and now I'm working on MuleSoft. Okay, and I love sharing knowledge on my channel also. I have a YouTube channel, Your Integration Buddy, so you can check out some of the stuff which I have posted on the channel. Okay. Vaishnavi, member. So, would like to thank Vaishnavi for sparing her time to cover this latest product offering of MuleSoft of Async APIs. Yeah, Vaishnavi, over to you. Please share your screen and yep, and, yeah, let's get
Yeah,
started.
yeah. Please let me know once my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Yep. So initially, I would welcome everyone to the Mohali Meetup group. So I would like to thank Vikas and team for giving me this opportunity to speak today. So I'll just go off. Sorry.
Yep, maybe introduction part. Yeah.
I'll just go off the cam, and then I'll continue.
Yep, it's fine.
Just give me a second. I'm not very sure. My internet is not completely up and running. Yeah.
Okay, okay, no worries.
Yep. I'm sharing my screen back.
Uh huh.
It's
Yep.
good, right? Because
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah,
You can directly move to slide number 4. Yep.
yeah. So
Yep.
I'm Vaishnavi Jaksani. I'm working as a technical consultant at Salesforce. I have around 7 years of experience in integration domain, which includes MuleSoft and TIBCO. So first of all, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. So I hope this would be an interactive and an informative session for all of us. So please feel free to put your questions in, like while going ahead while discussing. So let's make this an interactive session so that everyone will gain knowledge out of it. So coming to today's agenda, so we are starting with discussing a few things about event-driven architecture, and then we'll go ahead and understand what is async API and the structure or the schema of async API, and then we'll discuss few of the use cases of async API. And there is a small demo where we are implementing a small use case using async API and implementing the same using Anypoint Code Builder today. And then at the end, after the demo, we'll discuss few of the benefits of async API followed by a Q&A session. So initially, before going ahead with async API, right? So what is event-driven architecture? So coming to what is event-driven architecture, so it's a design pattern where multiple systems communicate with each other asynchronously. Right. So here we have the event bus, which is a middleman for communication, which is also known as the message broker in between. Right. So we have publishers publishing the messages to the event service bus, and we have the subscribers, where the interested subscribers would like to subscribe to an event and then listen to the messages from the event service bus. Right. So with this, what will we achieve? So with this approach, so event driven architecture, it enables loose coupling of systems, right? So here the publisher, it just knows that it is publishing a message to the event service bus, and then the role of the publisher is done, like it would get an acknowledgement from the bus saying that the message is received or acknowledged, right? So after that, the interested subscriber would like to subscribe and get the messages out of it, right? So ideally, if we are introducing one or more systems to the same architecture, so it's really easy for us, right? Because we just need to know the structure of the message which we are sending, and then that's it, right? So deletion or addition of different systems to the same architecture becomes very easy using event driven architecture. So this is one of the main advantages of using this architecture, right? Now coming to another question: what is an event? So here, any change in the state of an object, right? So we can call it as an event, right? So for example, consider an account object in the Salesforce, right? So assume that I am updating my contact detail of my account, right? So that itself it's an event. So with that event, right? So with that action, there would be an event with which there are multiple systems which needs to be updated based on this event. Okay, so we'll consider one more example. So consider any e-commerce website like Amazon or Flipkart, right? So there, on a daily basis or on an hourly basis, like based on the requirement, inventory update would happen, right? Based on the availability of the stock or whatever. So the warehouse team would update the event inventory, right? So that would create an event. So inventory update should be updated in our backend system for the stock to be displayed on the e-commerce website, right? And then the inventory should be updated again with the data warehouse team as well for packing or whatever is needed, right? So here there are multiple different actions which needs to be happen only based on one event, right? So with this we are just creating a message, and then the message would be subscribed from the different channels or from the different applications which are needed to listen to this event, right? So then with one event multiple actions would be done, and the publisher won't even have to bother or wait about till the event gets completed, right? Like it again depends on the scenario to scenario. So now coming to async API. So async API, it's an asynchronous API where here we are giving the schema like similar to raml, right? Okay, we'll go ahead with the definition initially. So async API, it's an open source industry standard language which describes the message interfaces, right? So similar to raml for our rest APIs, right? So we don't used to have a documented specification for asynchronous APIs, right? So uh, whenever we are implementing asynchronous APIs, right? Whenever we used to subscribe to events or publish events, right? So we used to discuss it internally, and then we used to start working on the implementation part, right? So ideally, when multiple people works on the same project, right? So they don't even know like what we are doing until and unless they goes inside the code and look at it, right? So with that what happens is either they won't be able to know like there is a functionality which is already existing, right? So it might lead to the duplication of work, right? So that can happen. So with the design first approach, right? So multiple stakeholders as well, they would get to know like what we are defining or what we are achieving before even we start our work, right? So it is used to define the message structure, channel names. So, channel names here are nothing but our queue names here. And then the protocols which we are using to implement the API. So it would give a clear picture for other people to know like what is the message structure we are following as the input for this particular subscriber or something like that. So here comes the high level overview of how the async API looks like in our Anypoint platform. So, starting with the information block, we have the title and the version of the async API in the info block. So, followed by the servers block. So, servers here we can define all the servers which we are using in the particular asynchronous API. Like we can use more than one different servers for us. So, as of now, with the October 2024 GA, right? So, we are supporting Anypoint, MQ, Solace, Salesforce, PubSub, and Kafka. So these four servers are allowed as of now for implementation. But for documentation, there are few more. Google PubSub or few more are also available for documentation. But for implementation, as I mentioned, these are the four available. And coming to the next block, it is channels. So channels are nothing but our queue names. So going ahead with the queue name, so similar to our, if we compare the same thing with our REST API, right? So we have the endpoint name, and then we will define whether it's a post or get endpoint, right? So similarly, we have operations here, which are publish or subscribe, right? So after defining operation name, so we have to define a few more things like metadata, description, or whatever it is. And then coming to the message section, so similar to our raml, right? So how we define the message structure, the type, object, and all the properties, right? So here also we can define that object, message structure, and then after implementing, right? So once we scaffold this particular async API, so we would be able to see the validation happening against this particular schema which we have defined here, right? So going ahead with the roadmap of event driven support on any point platform, right? So GA 2024 June. So designing of async API specifications and governing of async API specifications. So cataloging. So these three were available GA from June 2024, and implementing the evented APIs, which I was speaking before. So that was in beta. So very recently, so that was available globally. And as I mentioned, so these are the four protocols which are allowed for implementing. And support of, as of now, we are using async API 2.0 version. So in Feb 2025, so the support for async API 3.0 will be available, right? So if we can have a look at the picture on the right side, right? So we can see that this is the async API kit router image, which we would be able to see once we scaffold the application. So now going ahead with the use case, right? So before going ahead with the use case, do we have any questions?
So if
Okay.
anyone having questions, please unmute and you can ask. I don't see any questions in the chat, Vaishnavi.
Yeah, sure. So I have taken a very simple use case where I'm assuming that a chain of restaurants, so they are facing few issues in payments, like it's not a streamlined process for them, with which the user experience is getting affected for them. So the chain of restaurants have agreed upon a few things, and they are planning to streamline that process of payments. So they are planning to, so once a customer sends a payment request, or they are planning to pay the bill, right? So they will send so once they once they fill all the details and click on payment, right? So that all the details would be sent to our async API. So this is just a fictional use case, not a real time use case though. But I just wanted to make it as simple as possible so that we would understand all the important details of async API here. Okay. So ideally, so as soon as the payment is initiated, so I would expect a message on the async API, right? This is our actual API. So this is the queue with at which we will receive the payment request. So I am trying to contact the payment gateway. So once a message is received, I am trying to contact the payment gateway and do the payment. So once that payment is completed, so before this doing the payment gateway, right? So as soon as I receive the message in the async API, I would not make the customer wait. So I would acknowledge them saying that my message is received. So with this, the customer interaction would be done, and it is a smooth interaction. So the user experience would be better right now. So after this, I'm contacting the payment gateway to make the payment. So if it is confirmed or successful, right? So I am sending a payment successful message on this queue. So after this, so I would send a message or an email to the restaurant and the customer as well, And then after which, if we have any more actions to be done, since it's a, persisted queue, right, so we can do any action after that. So if it's a failure, right, so I'm sending similarly, I'm sending an acknowledgement to the restaurant and the customer. So now it's the responsibility of the restaurant to add its own retry mechanism, or how do we handle that, it's on the top of the restaurant issue. So since again, so we would have all the details with us at this point of time as well, because we are publishing a message based on the result, right? So we'll go ahead and see how do we implement this in our platform, right? So here we have to go ahead. I hope my screen is visible. I'm loading my platform.
Yep, it's visible.
Yeah. So here we have to go ahead, create a new async API. So here I'm selecting 2.6 version YAML. I'm trying to implement it in using YAML. Excuse. So here, as we discussed, right? So this is the info block which contains the title of the document and then the version. So before going ahead with channels or servers, there is one more important thing, which is default content type. So I'm defining it as application slash JSON, which means that the input and output message formats to this particular specification is application slash JSON. Okay. So after that, I would define the servers. So I am trying to showcase the Anypoint MQ today. So I am just giving my server name as AMQ here. So here we can see all the tags getting populated, so similar to our RAML, right? So here I would give some description. So this is a URL. So I would give the actual URL in my application. So this is one more important thing. It's kind of a keyword for all the different servers available. So for Anypoint MQ, it is like this: Anypoint MQ. For Salesforce PubSub, again, maybe I can, if I can write it down, it's like this. And for Kafka,
So
maybe,
these are reserved keywords, Vaishnavi.
yeah, these are reserved keywords. So if you are not
Okay.
giving it in this way, so it won't be able to identify that.
So which server we are using? Like for that, we have to put in this.
Yeah,
So those four which are supported, you are those we have to
yeah,
mention.
yeah. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So after that, I'm giving the protocol version as V1. So pretty much these are the few important details which we have to define under servers. Okay. So coming to channel. So as we discussed, so channel is something like our queue name. Um, so we have defined our queue name in our demo, that slide, right? So I'm just following the same naming convention. So here this is my queue name, right? So here I can add my description saying so then comes the publish or the subscribe. So assume that I am trying to publish a message. So what does that mean? So when I can publish a message, so once I receive any message or information, then only I can publish it, right? So defining this publish, so if we have this publish method here, so we will be able to see that message listener in the scaffolded application. So number of publishes would have similar number of message listeners in the scaffolded application. Okay. So again, we can add whatever the description is needed. So I have to give the unique operation ID throughout. So I'll give publish payment initiate. Um, So here, before doing that, I have to add servers. So assume that I have multiple servers, right? So if I define Kafka as well here and AMQ as well, so I am defining a queue name. So we should be stating here that this particular queue belongs to this particular server. So we have to define it in this way. So as of now, anyways, I have only single server. It's not needed, but we can add that, saying that this particular queue belongs to this particular server, right? So after that, we can go ahead with our message. um,
So Vaishnavi, what is the operation ID over here? Publish payment. This is like custom.
no, this is not a custom one. So it's something which should be unique for each and every operation. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. So here it's similar to our RAML data type or whatever it is, defining the structure of it. So here I am defining it as an object, right? So here I'll try to add properties where I will take customer name. So card number, maybe pin, whatever. So all the details we can add it over here, right? So we can add it like this, like inline as well. And but going ahead, like if our document gets increased, like if we add multiple operations and multiple queues, right? So it would be difficult for us to read the entire document at once, right? So for that, we have one more option here. We can define components. So components again will have messages, where I have to add a name for this message, right? So again, after doing that, I can just copy paste the entire thing here, right? So now we can go ahead, we can delete this, and then so we can add a reference to it. So similar to this, so right now we can externalize this as well. So we can add it, we can create a folder or a file and just define this as a JSON schema as well, and then just refer to it in the similar way. So that is also possible, right? So similar to this, we have to add all the different queue names and all required, right? So, in the interest of time, I have just created a document already. We'll just glance over it once, and then we'll go ahead with our implementation. So, similar to what we have discussed, I have defined my server and I have defined my channel. So, I am adding publish and subscribe method for all the queues, uh, just to simplify my use case. That's all. So, if we can see on the right side, so it's similar to our RAML spec. Like we are able to see all the different messages and what is the message structure it's expecting, right? So, we would be able to see everything similar to that. So once it's done, I'll try to publish my document. So it's already published with 101 version. So I'll just try to increment the same. So we'll just go ahead. We'll check few of the details of how an evented API looks like in the exchange, right? So here, this is the identifier for us, saying that it's an async API, right? And we can add the documentation similar to our normal RAML and all. So here again, we would be managing the versions, so similar to our normal API. So again, coming to payment initiate, so we have everything documented here like this. So it's almost similar to how a RAML looks like, right? Yeah. And there is one more thing which I wanted to discuss over here. So here we can add rule sets. So for a sync API, so there is already a defined best practices rule set, right? So here, if I want to run this against if I want to run my async API against the rule set, right? So no confirmation issues found after validation. So there are 5 to 6 rules designed in this rule set. So those are most probably we can check the rule set in the exchange as well, but mostly those are related to the naming convention, the server names, and defining the naming convention in the particular document, right? Okay, so that is also like going ahead. If we need any more rule sets to be applied as well, we can add it over here, right? So now we are good with our specification, like designing our spec, and then we'll go ahead, we'll try to implement this. Yeah. Implement an API. So I'm just authorizing myself. So here I'll give the same name. Okay, we haven't published the one which I have created, right? We have published the payments async API, which is 102 version. I'm just adding that asset. And yeah, there are few more things. So the minimum runtime for async API is 4.4 plus, right? And we are using Java 17 version here for this. So it will just take a second for us to get that scaffolder. Yeah. So it got scaffolded, and we could see that there were three different queues, right? So invalid payment, payment confirmation, payment initiated. So the flows got created accordingly. So we can see three different message listeners since we had three different publish operations. So every time we don't need a listener always, right? So with listening one message, so we can publish the messages to multiple queues, right? So everywhere listener is not needed always, right? So something like this it looks like. So I wanted to discuss few more details, like what are all the details which we would be able to see in our pom.xml, right? So since this is an evented API, so we can see that our dependency got added with a classifier named as evented API, right? And since we have defined servers as anypoint MQ, so we can see that anypoint MQ connector got added to us automatically. Yeah, pretty much these are two details which we can check in pom.xml. Now coming to our resources folder. So here I can see that Anypoint MQ client ID and client app ID is client ID and client secret is a client secret, right? So we can just add our client ID and secret, and this API path is the path to the async API spec. Okay. So these details we can add it over here. I'm going to global configs. I'm sorry. I'm not sure this UI. Okay. Yeah. So we can see that Anypoint MQ config got added here with the client ID and client secret as we defined. And this URL, we have to update it to the actual URL of the Anypoint MQ. And then config properties got added with the environment specific details, and the global property is defined by default to dev. And we can see the async API config here, right? And inside the API kit MQ configs, we can see the server key as AMQ. So this one we ideally don't have to change. So this is the same name which we have given in our design spec, right? AMQ. So if we change this, right? So again we have to change few of the properties, right? So it won't work as expected if we change this, right? So we can see this is getting correlated with the config or the connection which is created, right? So these are the few details which we need to check, like once our project gets scaffolded, right? So in the interest of time, I have just created a project already. Yeah. So here what I have done here is I am listening to the payment initiate message. So after that I'm just calling the payment gateway. So I have just created a process API. I'm just calling that using the HTTP connector. So based on the response from that API, right? So I'm just routing the message as payment confirmed or payment invalid, and then I'm publishing those messages to the respective queues. So I have just added loggers in between for us to track how it's working actually, right? So now let's go ahead, try to run this. So in the meantime, I will try to set up the environment to publish the message. I'm just using the Anypoint MQ sender itself here to send the message. So here we have to define the type of the payload. Since we have defined it as JSON, so we have to follow the same. Right. So here so initially we'll see what happens if I'm sending this as number, right? So this is defined as string in our YAML file, but let's see what happens if we send it as a number. See, yeah, it successfully started. So we can see the validation exception saying that the message content does not conform to schema from specification, right? So with this what we are doing is we are failing fast the application. We are not even processing the message, or we don't even have to add an additional validator like usually in our sync APIs, right? Without any specification, we used to add validators before sending it to the downstream systems, right? So that is not needed here because we are validating it against our schema, right? Now let's see. I'll send a message. So here I can see that the payment is successful, right? Uh, mm, I have sent a message to the payment initiate queue, but I got the response from the payment successful queue, which means that the complete flow is executed. So now I would make some invalid card number, and let's see. See, I have just written some logic for that. So this is saying that it's going through the payment initiate and then validating the payment and then going to the invalid payment queue. So this is a small use case where we can use Anypoint MQs, right? So now going back to our slides again. So, what are the benefits of Async API, right? So, as we discussed and mentioned before, so it's a design driven approach. So, which is really useful for us to discuss the requirements initially before even starting our implementation, right? So, again, designing and cataloging API specs for eventing channels. Yes, that's what we are doing here. So, with this, what will we achieve? We will achieve the discoverability and reusability of the evented APIs, because anyone with the require anyone with access to exchange can have a look at like what are all the evented APIs which are already defined before, right? So with this we can manage our evented APIs as well. And one more thing is we are using a same control plane for REST and evented APIs so that all APIs together will be at the same place. And we are creating a unified design experience across all the specifications. And we are following the API lifecycle management here. Like we are first designing it and then we are going ahead with our implementation. And similar to our queue monitoring, right? So we can monitor the queues which we have defined here as well. So these are few of the links to the resources. So yep, let's go with any of the questions.
Hey guys, if you have any questions, please speak up. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. So yeah, Vaishnavi, I have one question. So in which scenarios we decide to go with async APIs over the traditional PubSub model, like we can use the JMS publisher or subscriber, right, or the Solus connector
Yeah.
uh, to achieve same functionality. So what are scenarios in which we specifically choose async APIs over the traditional PubSub model?
Yeah, actually, it is not over the PubSub model, which I can say here, because the traditional PubSub model as well, like we are implementing the same here as well. But what we
Right.
are doing additionally is we are adding these validators and we are adding the specification for the same traditional old models. But we are doing this for more visibility and all. Like we have the we have Salesforce PubSub as well. Like you can define your API using your Salesforce PubSub, and you can implement it in the similar way which you used to do it before. But it's a bit small, like with small changes, your API would be more easily available for everyone else, and it's easily available for stakeholders also.
Okay. Okay.
And just to add, like this async API provides or comes up with the async API kit router
Yeah.
now, okay, which give you more functionality of doing a validation at the async API kit router level, where in the traditional the way we are doing it, we need to do some validation, maybe with the connectors or maybe internally some validation rules we need to use, which can be used, and this give you a proper presentation or a blueprint of how the EDAs or how you are doing your async API.
Okay. Yep. Got it, Abhishek. Thank you. I think Edward, you're saying something?
Well, that's pretty clear. Presentation is brilliant, very nice and to the point. It is still a question for me, the added value of for the publisher, let's say, because well, they need to craft the message as before. There is no way to use the API in order to create some code like generate some stubs, or I don't know how to explain. They prepare uh, uh, to publish correct message, because anyway after publishing the message, the checks is not at the beginning, at the time of publishing, but at the time of reading from message queue. Correct me if I am wrong.
Vaishnavi?
I don't know whether I'm clear of in my question,
Hey,
but
sorry
anyway,
guys, I just got disconnected in between. I couldn't hear properly. Vikas, could you please reiterate it?
Yeah, yeah. Edward, maybe can you summarize, please?
yes. Well, I wanted just to validate with you whether there is some helps for publisher in order
Hmm.
to be able to prepare their messages in some more uh, smart or added way, uh, when comparing with the traditional just crafting the message by hand and publishing, because well, for me the the description of the APIs is helpful for generating some code for the publisher as well. I want just to confirm that the validation is done not at the moment of publishing to any point in queue, for example, but at the moment of reading.
Yeah, if I could understand your question properly, Edward. So ideally, we like if we have to publish a message to any queue, right? So we would have some payload, like be it a JSON or whatever it is. Assume that it's a JSON payload. So we have like in online as well, we have many websites where we can create the JSON schema out of the JSON payload, right? So we can just copy paste the same thing into our JSON schema, which would give us a handy schema for us to be used in our async API for validation. So it's almost the same schema which would be created over there.
Yes. Okay, maybe I was a little bit wrong in my first question. Let's say someone who is actually not aware of MuleSoft, and then he wanted to publish messages accordingly to async API standard, and in order to prepare the message, what he is supposed to do is just there is no libraries, nothing standard at present as it used to be for Corba, for example.
Yeah. So ideally, if they don't have required knowledge to publish the message, right? So if they are following the async API standards, right? So since this asset is already published to Exchange, so if they have required access to go to Exchange, so they can just go ahead with what they are planning to do. If they want to publish a message to this queue, if they know that much as well, so they can copy the message structure from the Exchange, right? So if we can go ahead, see, this is something like that, like payments async API, and then they can just copy the message.
Yes. That's pretty clear. It's obvious, easy, and nice, and crystal clear. But my point was actually to figure out whether it's already here some helper library that will, let's say, scaffold, I don't know, .NET classes that will follow the specification, and you will need just to import them in order to publish something to the queue from Visual Basic .NET application accordingly to async API specification. I understand that maybe it's really not really extremely relevant question, but for me at present, the realization of async API is a help for MuleSoft developer. It do not facilitate a lot of a work for someone who want to publish who do not use the same technology. But it is not the same case for Rumble or Swagger for now. At present, you can generate something using Swagger. No, some classes at the client side. Okay. I need just a confirmation from you that the validation is never done before publishing; it's always after publishing. It's
Yes, yes.
yes. Okay, that's
Yeah.
pretty clear for me.
Yeah, because once the message gets into the system, then only. Okay, so that is not the case. Okay, if I understand it properly, so in the use case which I have defined here, right? So I am receiving the message here, and then like after the message is received, uh, then at there itself the validation happens. It will not even go forward. Like my publish statement is here, right? So it is not going till there. So it's just validating, like if we have knowledge of API kit router, right? So it just validates it in the router itself. So it's similar to that.
So the message gets validated before it's published or after it's published? That's a question
after
from Abby.
after it's published to the first queue. Yeah.
Okay. Hope it answers your question, Edward.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Okay. We have few more questions, Vaishnavi, if you can check the chat.
Okay.
Is there any built-in framework for reliability?
I don't see questions here. So, okay. Do we have a built-in framework for reliability in Async API? So, for reliability, actually, if we are using AMQ, so again, it depends on protocol to protocol, right? So, if we are using any point MQs, right, so we can enable the persistence and all. Right, if we are using Kafka, so it would be in a different case, right? So it depends on a protocol which we are using, is what I understand. Yeah, there is no inbuilt framework, but ideally, if we are looking like reliability in your terms is like how the flow is executing. So similar to our normal APIs, like we can define whatever the loggers are required, so we can incorporate all of those.
Oh no, so I think what he means is like reliability means that messages are reliably delivered, right, Ravi? So it's like, so if the receiver is down, how do we ensure that message are still delivered or just sent to some dead letter queue? Correct, Ravi? That's your question. Yeah. So I
So
think that
similar,
framework
yeah.
we have to build ourselves. I don't think
Yeah,
there's a
yeah, we have to build it ourselves because so similar to our normal queue, like we would assign a dead letter queue to it, right?
correct,
So
correct, correct.
we have to do it like explicitly. It's not handled in the sync API and the spec. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, do we have any more questions, guys? Please speak up, or you can send on the chat also. Yeah, if we don't have any questions, I think we can wrap up. So before we wrap up, if you can request you to please switch on your video, I can just take a quick snap, and then we can wrap up for the day. Thank you so much, Vaishnavi, for your time. It was really great and insightful session. Thank you.
Thanks, Vikas, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Guys, if you can just switch on the videos, please. Okay, just 1 second. I'll just take a quick nap. Okay, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and see you next time. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.